Well, if the thought of sipping margaritas on the beaches of Mexico sounds good right now, you might want to hear our next interview before you go. If you're not careful, you can end up spending your vacation in the hotel bathroom. Last month, dozens of Manitobans got sick at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico. Nelson Azevedo was in Playa del Carmen officiating his niece's wedding. He spoke to CBC's Felicia Adam about what the resort looked like while the illness was spreading through.
You're walking on the hallways and where the suites were and stuff, all you can hear is, not in every single one, but people puking. The one right beside me, they were puking on like too. There was carpets of puke on the sidewalks and stuff and people throwing up. I saw young ladies sitting at the curb, they couldn't make it to the bathroom, just puking in bags and stuff. It was just a mess. And we told the manager, okay, if you're saying that I'm lying, take a walk. Actually, it was my nephew that was talking to this one particular manager. And he said, if you think I'm lying to you, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk and see what's happening out here. Oh no, this is a very sanitary place. We pass all inspections, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't want to even get engaged in anything.
That's Nelson Azevedo speaking with CBC's Felicia Adam last month. Now, a representative for Sandos Hotel and Resort said at the time the illness could have been spread from Canadians with the flu or norovirus. Dr. Pierre Plourde is our guest this morning. He's via Zoom. He's the medical lead, travel health and tropical medicine services with the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we don't actually know, Dr. Plourde, what caused this illness, but I think a lot of people have had the experience of being sick before, or maybe if they haven't, they're wondering what they could do. Why don't we start with what the difference is between norovirus, for example, and food poisoning? How would you know?
It's first of all, the description that I just heard from that traveler is the classical, perfect description of a norovirus outbreak. With a very rapid and sudden onset, mostly vomiting and very little diarrhea. It's mostly, as he said, people puking all over the place. It comes on suddenly. Its incubation period is 1 or 2 days at the most, and its duration is 1 or 2 days at the most. People recover just as quickly as they became sick. Food poisoning is a much broader term. Food poisoning would imply, again, contamination through food and maybe water, and could be a whole host of pathogens like viruses like norovirus or even bacteria. So food poisoning is a more general term. And norovirus doesn't have to be transmitted through food and water either. Most people who probably were sick at that resort probably caught the norovirus from another person with norovirus. And it's highly, highly transmissible person to person.
Now, you said it's mostly vomiting norovirus. If you have food poisoning, you're probably going to be experiencing, sorry, everyone having breakfast this morning, but both ends, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How common are outbreaks on vacation in resorts of late? Like, how often do you hear about cases like this one?
Well, this year more than usual. Norovirus, there's I could call it a pandemic strain. There's a new strain of norovirus that's circulating. It's been reported throughout the UK and Europe, throughout the United States, probably worldwide, on cruise ships, for example. So this particular winter, there seems to have been a particularly aggressive, highly contagious norovirus, and this happens every few years, and this particular strain nobody will have immunity to, and it's going to hit you fast, it's going to hit you hard. So there probably are more reports, and some officially reported and some not, but likely many more cases this year associated with any travel, including resort travel.
What would you suggest people do before they leave in preparation so they can best protect themselves?
It's a challenge because you can't immunize yourself against norovirus and against almost all pathogens that lead to food poisoning. So you have to kind of use your best common sense. You know, there's a rule that says if you can't peel it, cook it, or boil it, then leave it. Now, in my experience, that rule is easy to remember, but sometimes impossible to do. But you gave the example of, sipping your margaritas. That's probably one of the highest risk drinks, for example, in terms of waterborne or liquid-borne transmission of norovirus because of the crushed ice. You don't know how that ice was prepared. And if that drink was made with water sourced from tap water that wasn't boiled, then you have a high risk of having drinking a contaminated drink. So you're safest drinks, for example, would be either boiled or bottled. Bottled beverages, canned or bottled, would be your safest drinks to consume. And people don't even think about, brushing your teeth with tap water is another way to get infected. So you have to take those extra precautions, because you have to assume that tap water, for example, is contaminated, and tap water is often used to make the drinks or to serve the water and ice that you consume in restaurants.
How do you check to see if the destination you're traveling to has consumable tap water?
Most will say they filter their water. Problem with filters is they don't filter out viruses like norovirus, and they have to be maintained, and with time they probably don't even filter out the bacteria. So I don't trust the water at all at any of these destinations, especially in low and middle income countries. I stick to bottled water, and I ask them to bring the bottle, sealed, so that I open the seal myself. I know it's not bottled water that's been filled with tap water.
If it's norovirus is a virus, but if there are obviously other ways to protect your immune system as best you can before you travel. I understand though, just overall, right? Like there are people talk about different, I think, calcium things, maybe pills that coat your stomach. Can you speak to some of those things?
There's really no data on those in terms of them. You want to basically be as healthy as you can be and maintain a good, normal, healthy diet, but there are no sort of extra products. Having said that, though, people who are more susceptible, who are immune compromised in any way, or people who don't have proper acid production, or who are on acid blockers, so don't have stomach acid that can kill these bacteria and viruses, need to take extra precautions, because there's not much else you can do other than food and water precautions in order to prevent these illnesses. There's one virus you can prevent, by the way, with a vaccine, and that's hepatitis A. We recommend hepatitis A vaccine for all travelers, but there are no other bacteria or viruses that really have any effective vaccines. So you really have to rely on your food and water precautions.
And I guess maybe returning to some of the basics that we got used to during the pandemic, right? Like the masks, the hand washing, the sanitizer. Do you think that this, people getting complacent again could be maybe a contributing factor to the rise in viruses now?
Thanks for the reminder. Hand hygiene is probably even more effective than food and water precautions. There are some studies showing that people who practice regular hand hygiene after going to the bathroom or frequent use of hand sanitizers have by far the lowest rates of traveler's diarrhea. So yes, traveler's diarrhea can be acquired through food and water, but probably also touching contaminated surfaces, contaminating your hands, and touching your face with your hands. So use of hand hygiene products or frequent hand washing, probably highly effective in reducing not just respiratory illnesses, but traveler's diarrhea and other gastrointestinal illnesses as well.
All right, Dr. Plourde, thank you very much. Nice to have you with us.
You're welcome.
That is on CBC Live, Dr. Pierre Plourde, the medical lead, travel health and tropical medicine services at the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority.